Hello, hello. Chase the Traveler. I'm back again. You know, I haven't uploaded anything new for quite a long time, but you guys might not have noticed because you still see my videos every week. But anyway, things in Japan are changing. I mean, right now I see open hostility, and I'm not kidding. Things are definitely not like they used to be. Oops. Things are changing. The political environment is changing. People in Japan are in open revolt. I mean, not literally, but metaphorically. I mean, in the past, Japanese people, of course, were hostile to a certain degree against foreigners, but they didn't really discuss these things out in the open too much. It was kind of like hush-hush, like things that they would do in private amongst themselves. But nowadays, things have changed. I mean, right now, the economy's not doing well. The people are blaming everything on foreigners. I mean, there's like a shortage of rice. Japanese people are blaming the people, or they're blaming foreigners for buying the rice at a premium and leaving less for the Japanese and all. And for some reason, the price of rice has actually increased over here because foreigners are buying Japanese rice. I mean, a lot of times in Japan, if you don't live here, you don't really know, or you don't really hear what Japanese people are saying about foreigners, because you usually see it on Japanese TV, which foreigners don't usually watch. Or if you're hanging out with a Japanese person, they're not going to be talking to you that way. And if you see the Japanese national parties, you probably just walk by them and you don't really understand what they're saying. But I'm going to show you a few clips of what Japanese people really feel. Now, I'm not saying that everybody feels that way, but I'm just saying that the majority of them do feel this way. I'm going to show you a few clips that a lot of times foreign media won't show you. You'll never even know that Japanese people think this way or are this way. I mean, I've known this ever since I've been here. But what's surprising right now is that you have a far-right party that has emerged. Their open hostility towards foreigners is shocking to me, even though I've lived here. They are, I mean, well, you know something? Let me let you hear what they have to say and then comment.
そういった国家運営を
もうね、危機的な状況です。歩いても歩いても外国人の方ばっかだし、治安も悪いし、私たちの税金使われるし、社会保険料上がってって、外国政策ばっかやられてるから、日本人の生活は苦しくなるし、増税増税増税ばっかりだし、日本はね、日本人ってやっていけるんですよ。で、アメリカ今ね、なんかロサンゼルスですごいデモやってますけど、移民どんどん入れたらああなるということですね。あれこそ日本の未来です。移民を一度入れてしまったら返せませんということを、皆様ロサンゼルスのニュースを見て学びましょう。そういうので結構煽っている印象を悪くしてるっていう事実じゃん。事実を報道してなんでそれが煽ってるになるんですか。今国際免許も簡単に取れるので事故もたくさんありましたし、繁盛ね、
悪化しますよ。あなたたちこれやってんだから悪化しますよね。
在留する外国人の増加とともに様々が指摘されておりまして、地域コミュニティからの不安や苦情が率直に増えております。
秩序ある共生社会を実現するためにルールを守る外国人を受け入れる。しかしルールを守らない外国人には厳格に対応いたしてまいります。
日本国正しい考えがどんどん広まってるっていうことなんで、それを別に差別って捉える必要はないんじゃないかと。反グローバリズム、ナショナリズムの方が大事なんだ、それが正しいっていう判断になってきてるわけでしょ。外国人は外国人、日本人と扱いは異なることがあるのはしょうがないよと。差別じゃなくて区別としてね、日本人ファーストの政治しますって言われて当たり前のことじゃないですか。両方がメリットある。外国人にメリットって日本人にデメリットになってんだったら、それは日本人にメリットあるように変えてくださいってことですよ。今だってトレードオフになってるわけじゃないですか。外国人に対しては例えば治安悪くなるとか、外国人に生活保護払ったらその分日本人のお金が減るとか、そういうトレードオフになってるわけじゃないですか。二者択一に。で二者択一の時は日本人助けますよって言ってるんですよ。日本人と外国人が川で溺れてて、浮き輪1個しかなかったら日本人に投げますって言ってるんですよ、私は。だって私は日本の政治家なんだから。戸田市を発展させるために日本を発展させるのが私の仕事なんでしょ。なんで外国人の方持たなきゃいけないんですか。
やっぱり今
税金を使った支援、
日本人を本来の困ってる人を助けるためにだし、一番助けるべきはやっぱり日本人の例えば一人親世代のお母さん世帯とか、こういうところの人たちをやっぱり手厚くしないと、別に外国人を第一にする必要はないです。まず日本人。例えばアメリカのトランプ大統領だってアメリカ国民の利益
totally against welfare for foreign residents. He got the most votes and became assembly member for the city. And his policy being strict on foreigners has been widely supported not just in the city, but possibly in Japan entirely.
ちょっとどうなんだろうなって思ってる市民がそれだけいたということでしょうね。非常に多くのその外国人に対しての悩みというのは声も聞くし、メールでも届くし、軽いもので言えばゴミ出しのルール守らないとかね。あとこうベランダからこうタバコ捨ててるとか、そのレベルから始まって、中学生とか高校生がクルド人にレイプされたりとか、暴れて暴動を起こしたとか、多くの市民の方も悩まれているんだろうなという気がしますよ。私はもうそもそも犯罪率高いと思っているっていうか、犯罪率高いというデータも出ているし、そんな状況でなんで日本人がね、毎日頑張って働いてなけなしのお金でから払ってる税金をそんな外国人のためにね、これ単純に腹立ちもせんって、自分たちが頑張って働いたね、税金でいう、やっぱり国民感情っていうのは間違いなくあると思いますよ。祖国で面倒を見てくださいというふうにするべきであって、日本人の税金から払うべきものではないと。
To be fair,
ないですか。そうですよね。そうですよね。そうですよね。いや、私たち税金払って別にね、日本国籍が生活保護を受けるんだったら別にいいですよね。日本人なんだから。でもなんで外国人がね、生活保護を受けてるんですか。それっておかしくないですか。
youth get increasingly under pressure to do something both on tourists and residents, as more and more Japanese put the blame on foreigners and demand that we exclude them.
外国人優遇を許さないぞ。生活保護制度は我々日本人のものだ。
外国人がいることで全部その12万を何十人とかで分けることになっちゃう。外国人の方にも与えちゃったら、お金は足んないですよね、絶対。結局
So often, and our focus becomes blaming foreigners. As far as I can see, social media has been full of resentment and frustration among Japanese, and this kind of clips widely shared.
社会保険料がどんどん上がってる言ってるけど、上がるに決まってるんですよ。新宿区の、外国籍の国民健康保険11億円が未納です。私たちが今まで積み上げてきた国民健康保険が外国人に悪用されています。
In Japan,
Sorry about the video quality. I kind of had to rush, so therefore I couldn't really film properly. But I think you get the message. Basically, some of these candidates for this one political party are blaming foreigners for the rise in insurance costs. And honestly, to tell you the truth, some of these foreigners are not paying insurance. They're talking about healthcare insurance. That's totally true. Some of them are not paying it, but They don't tell you that a lot of these foreigners can't get full-time jobs where their employer will actually pay for insurance. And also, I mean, that first politician was making it look like somehow if they don't pay for insurance, you could just walk into the hospital and walk into the city office and you're going to get benefits. Now, that might happen in America for sure, but I guarantee you, if you don't have any health insurance and you have to be hospitalized for something really serious, dude, they're not going to be taking care of you and patching you up like they will in the United States. So these claims are pretty much false, but a lot of Japanese people definitely believe it. I've never had a situation, I mean, for a couple of years when I lived in Japan, my company didn't pay for my insurance, and I didn't feel that I had to pay for insurance because there was nothing wrong with me. I mean, I do have insurance now, but to make it look like foreigners or the rising price of healthcare is because foreigners aren't paying and then they're somehow getting a whole bunch of services is ridiculous. And you know, one thing that you would probably never hear in America is like, she's out there saying, oh, you know something, well, all the social benefits that we get in Japan should only be for Japanese people, even though foreigners pay into it. And also, I think that in Japan, foreigners make up only about 5% of the population. Japanese people make up 95% of the population. So if they make up 95% of the population, how could 5%? That would mean 100% of foreigners have to be doing something that they're not supposed to do. That would mean that none of them are working for her to be correct. That doesn't make any sense. But a lot of people believe it, and she's part of that new political party that basically is saying that the reason that Japan is having problems right now is because of the foreigners that are coming over here. They're taking advantage of the system. Now, of course, I'm not going to tell you that all foreigners are on the up and up and everybody's doing exactly what they're supposed to do. But to make it look like all foreigners are basically taking advantage of the system is ridiculous. I mean, Japan had Japan First way before America had it. And right now they're talking about Japan First on steroids. I mean, I've talked about that. I think I made a video about Japan First way before this even started. I think a few months ago. And most certainly, right now you have a political party that's actually quite popular. They won a lot of seats in the Japanese Diet. That's what, it's like the Japanese Congress. And they won a lot of seats because they basically blame foreigners for everything that's going on. And they want to take every single benefit that foreigners have over here, even though foreigners are not getting a lot of benefits. I mean, I've already made multiple videos on the fact that foreigners in Japan are not getting a lot of benefits. They are not doing as well as a lot of people think they're doing. So you have a situation where this political party is saying, hey, you know something? Well, hey, we live in Japan here, and all the benefits that are in this country should only be for Japanese people. Now, to a certain degree, having lived here for so many years, I kind of think, okay, you know something? They're probably right. I mean, I kind of feel like America sometimes lets foreigners get away with a little too much just having lived here and seeing the benefits that foreigners don't get over here. So I kind of feel like, hey, you know something? I should get the same benefits that Japanese people get when Japanese people go to America. So now, I think that there's a lot of frustration over here because the economy is not doing well, and they're trying to blame foreigners for the economy not doing well, which is ludicrous. When I came here in 1991, the economy started going downhill, and there were very, very few foreigners over here. So all of a sudden now, the economy's gotten worse, and they're trying to find a scapegoat. Oh, well, the foreigners are buying up our rice. Well, who's selling the rice? Japanese people are selling the rice. It's not like they forced foreign buyers to come over here and say, you know something, you're going to sell us this rice. No. So they got to look at the people that sold the rice and stop blaming the people that are buying the rice. Not only that, Japan, they don't seem to understand that they're not having enough babies, so therefore their insurance rates have to go up because they have to take care of older people. But then they're making it look like 5% of the foreigners here, who I would say out of those 5%, maybe 1% or even less than that are not doing what they're supposed to be doing. So how could 1% of those people be in a situation to bring down the economy or raise the rates to a certain degree where people are feeling it? No. The fertility rate here is bad. And because the fertility rate here is bad, you have a lot more older people. And because the younger population cannot support the older generation because there aren't enough people to pay into it, they have to raise the rates. But they're making it look like somehow Japanese people are taking care of a foreign population, which is definitely not true. Definitely not true. And then they're looking at Donald Trump in the States and saying, oh, look at Donald Trump. Look at what he's doing. But Japan has been doing that way before Donald Trump went into office. I mean, when I came to Japan in 1991, this was already going on. Nobody ever talked about it, but now all of a sudden they need a scapegoat. And the politicians are like, oh, well, you know something, it's the foreigner. And I think it's Sanseido. It's that, like, the political party that made a lot of gains. So I think that the hostility that was like always there against foreigners in Japan is kind of like out in the open because the economy's not doing as well as it should be. And that's been the case since the late 80s, early 90s. I mean, Japan's got twice the debt of America. And you can't tell me that that debt is basically from subsidizing foreigners. I mean, honestly, I live over here, and the way these politicians or these people are talking it, you would feel like I'm being pampered over here. Most foreigners are being pampered. Most foreigners are being, like, cared for, like, with, you know, delicately. That is not the case. We aren't being cared for over here. We aren't being treated delicately. The job situation over here is definitely not like what you see in America, where the job situation for foreigners in America is way better. The upward mobility for foreigners in America is way better than what you have in Japan. But you know something? When they talk about, well, you know something, I mean, that one guy that said, well, hey, if there were two people drowning, one of them was Japanese and the other one was a foreigner, I'd throw the lifeline to the foreigner. I mean, no, excuse me. I'd throw the Japanese person a lifeline because, hey, we got to take care of our own people first. I kind of understand that, having lived in Japan, and I kind of feel like, maybe America should go the Japanese way, but as a foreigner who's living in Japan, I'm like thinking, okay, hold on a second. I agree with you, but then I don't agree with you because I'm a foreigner living in Japan. But then if I go to America, I might want that for America. So in a way, I definitely like what I'm hearing from them, that they got to take care of their own people. And I think they should do that. But I also think that, you know, as I get older, America's got to do the same for its own people. Because, let me tell you, Japan First definitely existed way before America started doing America First. They just didn't call it that. They just didn't broadcast it. The people over here always thought that way. But the Japanese people right now, because they are suffering to a certain degree economically, are starting to broadcast their feelings. And the Prime Minister has started to enact some type of legislation where if foreigners commit crimes, I mean, I forget what he's going to do, but you don't need to enact legislation for foreigners committing crimes. They could be, I mean, they're subject, I mean, they should be subject to the same statutes that Japanese people are subjected to. But it shows that this new political party has an effect where they are making themselves known that, hey, you know something, we got a couple of seats in the House. So if you want to get things done, you're going to have to curtail what you do for the foreign population here, which isn't much. I mean, trust me, they don't do a lot for foreigners over here. Although foreigners think that you know, I mean, foreigners over here, you're going to get a job. Very rarely you're going to get promoted. Yes, one or two people get through, but it's less than 1%. And pretty much you're going to stay in the same job. Most foreigners have jobs where they're never going to get promoted. Most foreigners have jobs where they are not going to get raises. I mean, English teachers are a prime example of that. So, of course, I would say that I agree and disagree. Yes, you are in Japan. You should take care of your own people, but I mean, they should also tell America or other countries where Japanese people live that, hey, you know something? Our citizens have certain rights in your country, but your citizens don't have the same rights in my country. So in order for it to be fair, I mean, we live in a global society right now where things are kind of global. Things are kind of I mean, so the way that it should work is that I believe that if certain citizens of certain countries have certain rights in certain countries, then it should be reciprocal. So if Japanese citizens have certain rights in America, Americans should have certain rights in Japan. If Japanese people have access to certain goods and services in America, Americans should have certain rights to certain goods and services in Japan. And honestly, I think that's where it's headed. Right now, it's kind of like, okay, well, you know, our companies need to have the same access. That's what Trump's doing. But in the future, I could see a world where the people are like, you know something, our citizens need to have the same access that your citizens have over here. I mean, in the Philippines, Americans can't buy land, but Filipinos can buy land in America. So I think maybe one day it should be, well, hey, you know something, if our citizens can't buy land in your country, then your citizens should not be able to buy land in our country. Now, we've got a very long way to go before that happens. I know that. That's a fact. But honestly, things over here are changing. There is open hostility. The people that are being blamed, I definitely don't think deserve the blame because they don't make up enough of the population. And I'm really curious as to how. I mean, again, I haven't analyzed the numbers. I don't work for the government. I can't tell you that the numbers that that lady at the beginning was talking about. I can't say that it's true or it's not true, but I have my own opinion that I don't think it's true. I mean, because it just doesn't make any sense. There aren't enough foreigners for the Japanese people to be taken care of, for their insurance rates to go up by that much. It just doesn't make any sense. But hey, things are definitely, most certainly, going to become way more difficult for foreigners over here. And I don't think that it's going to get better anytime soon. Because, I mean, you have the U.S. president putting pressure on him. Because, I mean, Trump's been talking about this for decades. I mean, I was in New York in the 80s when Trump was talking about the unfair trade policies. And now 30 years later, he's got enough power to do something about it. And as of today, I think they secured some type of deal where the Japanese got to pay 15% tariffs, the Americans pay 15%. And then the Japanese have to invest $500 billion. Now, honestly, I think that that's a win-win for America. Because even though 15% tariff for Japanese goods going to America and then 15% tariffs for American goods going into Japan, you have to understand that America has a big trade deficit with Japan. So therefore, even though the tariffs are at 15%, the Americans benefit more just because the Japanese send more goods to America. So therefore, there is more money going into America. So I think that the foreign population is going to suffer the consequences of what the economy is doing over here. And I reckon that Japan is definitely not going to be a very, very good place for foreigners to actually come work for quite a long time. Just because, like I said, I've never seen this type of situation before. I mean, I spoke to a friend. He's married to a Japanese woman. He's been married for like, I think 25 years. She voted for the far right party. She's saying, hey, foreigners are getting, away with a lot of stuff. She was like, oh, well, they're buying up our rice. Until he explained, hold on a second, well, who's selling the rice? It's not like, so, and then he kind of had to explain to her that, hold on a second, her numbers didn't match up because, like I said in the video, foreigners only make up 5%. So how could they be using up all of the social services, and how could they be forcing the Japanese to pay for all these welfare services if they only make up, I mean, think about it. If they're 5% of the population, 5% of the population cannot be abusing the system. I mean, even if you go, so that would be, even if you go to half at 2.5% of the population, of the foreign-born not foreign population. Is that even possible? I don't think so. So most certainly, so even Japanese people married to foreigners are voting for the Sanseido party. It's amazing. So imagine that. So anyway, Chase the Traveler with another educational episode.